Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. And I feel like my voice is already going because I've done quite a lot of talking today. I did my live earlier, and also I've had quite a few classes. Um, it's so lovely to see you all here because I really need you all. I need all my chatters tonight, as I'm sure you all need each other. I'm newsed out. I've watched too much news today. I've realised I've just watched too much news because so depressing, isn't it? If it's not like, wars or problems with problems with the government in Spain. So now I've started taking more of an interest in Spanish politics, and I wish I hadn't bothered. So there's all divisions in Spain. Thing is, sometimes when you're oblivious, you're better off, aren't you? Really, you're better off not watching the news, and you don't know what's going on, so you don't get depressed about it. So yes, it's lovely to see you all here. It is so nice. It is so nice to see you all here, and I know you'll uplift me. And I'm okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay. I'm a bit tired. I've worked a long day, and this is not work. I don't count this as work, but I have only literally just finished with classes as well. So yes, so thank you. Just seeing that you're all, how many of you are here, it's lovely. Thank you. So I want to thank you, everyone who's either watching, anyone who's subscribed to my channel, anyone who's liked my videos or unliked my videos, whatever, you go that way or you go that way, it's still an interaction on my channel, so I don't mind. And I just hope you're all well. Those of you that are watching at home, I know not everybody joins in the chat. So hello to all of you that are just watching at home. Thank you so much for being here with us. And then the chat, of course, I'm going to go along and say hello to everybody in a minute. And a special thanks, obviously, to my members. Thank you to those of you who've joined my channel, that extra bit of support. And those of you that have bought me a coffee or sent me a super or supported my channel in any way, thank you so much, because that's what keeps me going. Doesn't matter if it's financial support, moral support, whatever it is, that's what keeps me doing the channel. So right, so I'm going to say hello to everybody now. Now that's said, thanks. I don't think there's anything else to say, really. So, Chumba, hi, you were first. David, hi. Rio's working, so she will sneak a peek whenever she can and catch up after. Okay, we'll let you off. At least you're not watching F1, Rio. Hi, Kate from the Cook Islands. Hi. Good morning. It's morning there for you, is it? Good morning, Kate. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Tina. I like the way Tina says hello to everybody. Saskia, you're here again. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling better after? Has it worked? Has what you went through worked? That's what I would ask. Did the operation work? Are you gradually getting better? Let's hope so. So for Chumba, it's the same shit, different day. I know it feels like that sometimes, doesn't it? So at least we've got each other to moan to. Hi, David. Hi, Mal. Hi, Heather. Hi, Ray. Oh, there. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Gail. Hi, Ruth. Oh, family. That's right. We are a little family, aren't we? We're a little YouTube family. We make each other feel better. Only positivity in the chat, isn't it? Hi, Annie. Oh, Sky. Hi, Sky. Hi, Linda Jones from Leeds, England. Hi, Linda. Oh, we like my hair. This I've just stuck it up because basically I couldn't do anything with it. That's normally what I do. Hi, Julie. You're doing some housework while you listen. Hi, Big Vicar. Yeah, well, it is a podcast we'll be listening to, so there won't be really registration. I keep meaning need to do a register, don't I? Oh, yeah. Where's Princess? Hi, Rach. Oh, good. So you had a checkup today, Saskia, and all's going well. Good, good, brilliant. Oh, right. And what did they say? Sorry. So Ruth is saying they had a beautiful parcel arrive from a friend of theirs who lives in Spain. He's a healer like yourself. So what did he send you? Is it one of those bracelets? You can buy those. I know that on the market, say they sell these bracelets. Is that where it is? That are supposed to really help with arthritis. Gosh. You're off to Bora Bora for 3 weeks on Friday, Kate. Sounds so glamorous, doesn't it? Bora Bora. Hi, Jean. Hope you're well. Oh, thank you, Annie. Gosh. Oh, she's watching. She's got a headache. Okay. Hi, Princess. Oh, I think I've got more or less to the bottom of saying hello to anyone. But again, hello to everyone at home. It's not everybody's sort of. Sometimes people a little bit don't want to go into the chat, which is fine. So, oh, hi, Teresa. Gosh, I feel I've just come over all hot. It's actually quite warmer. It's gone warmer again. Unbelievable. Go from hot, cold, cold, hot. Hi, Laurie. You again from Glasgow. Hi, Sharon. Oh, lots of people coming. Yes, let's send some healing hugs for Princess who's got a headache. I haven't got a headache myself, but I do feel tired. But anyway, I'll be fine. I always think Wednesday's a funny day, isn't it? It's like, you sort of have more energy Monday and Tuesday. And by the time it comes to Wednesday, I'm already flagging for the weekend. Okay, I'm almost frightened to leave the chat because there's a lot of people coming in as we go. I can see there's a lot of people on here. I presume that's there's always a lot of people when I'm doing something about Nicola Bulley, I know. Yeah, Hump Day Wednesday. It's a funny day, Wednesday. It's my least favourite day in a way because I have the most classes on a Wednesday as well, so I'm always tired by the end of the day. I will have a little bit of wine, Ray, don't worry. You work a 12-hour day, you deserve a little bit of wine. Okay. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to start with the podcast now. So, I found this really interesting lately. Once I started looking, sort of found a podcast by accident that I'd never heard before. And then now I'm actively looking for podcasts that I've not heard before about Nicola Bulley. And this podcast, Hi North Country Girl. Oh, thank you, Heather. I do work hard, but I like work. I've always been a little bit of a workaholic, to be honest. So it's my own fault. I bring it on myself. And then it comes to a point where I just have to think, right, that's it. I'm not doing anything like for 3 days or whatever. Hi, Kelly. So finding these podcasts like from early on in the case, this one again starts off, it's before Nicola was actually found. And this podcast, it seems to be a combination of seems to be an American girl and an Australian girl, and they seem quite young, or they sound quite young as well. So it's interesting sort of listening to whatever take they'd got on it from wherever they're from. And there was there's some information on here, some that I didn't even know, but you may have heard or know, and some that I'd known but I'd forgotten. So it's really interesting. Thank you, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. No, Kelly, you've not missed anything yet because I've not even started yet. I'm just going to start now with the podcast. So, the name of this podcast, or the name of the it's not a YouTube channel. They're bloggers, and it's like a podcast channel. If podcasts are channels, I don't know. And it's the True Crime Society. And I think it'd be interesting because obviously they're looking at things. Sometimes it's interesting to hear what people are saying that are from a different country, you know, from not from the UK, and how this was filtering through. I mean, as you can see, I have subscribers from sort of all over the world. So we know that this case attracted international attention, that what happened to Nicola attracted international attention for whatever reason. There's not many cases of missing people from anywhere in the world that actually get international attention. So there's not many cases, for example, in Australia or America or Sweden or whatever, that go all around the world. And Nicola, of course, was one of these, you know, and this is something that we're not sure why. I think there was the guy from the other podcast we were listening to a couple of days ago, Martin Underhill was his name. He said he thought it was because it was a young woman doing a mother drops her kids off at school. You know, she's obviously a very attractive woman as well. She's got a dog, so a dog always attracts people's attention. And to me, I think that is what attracted my attention. Not the dog, but the fact that she was doing something that people do every day, take their dog for a walk, you know, not necessarily next to a river, but in their local area, in some place that is popular with dog walkers. So to me, it was like the normality of it, and then just disappearing. So the mystery of it, and it was a mystery. So I think we'll find it interesting, or I think I've already listened to it, but I think you'll find it interesting to hear these two girls' take on it. Now, I'm starting a little bit into the podcast because they spend the first 10 minutes or so just chatting about all sorts of things. So I'm just going to start to when they actually start talking about Nicola. I don't know whether, they've also got a blog. So I just want to tell you about their blog. Now, I've been on, if you go on this podcast yourselves at any point, or you might want to see some of the other, because they do lots of crimes. And you can go on there, and there's a blog post about this as well. Now, I went onto there. Now, what I found strange on there is because they have got photos of the children, and their faces are not blocked out, which I didn't like that. So I'm not going to show that. I was thinking about it, but I'm not going to go onto the blog because I don't want to show the photos of the children without their, I can't change the photos on their blog, so I don't want to do that. And I thought this podcast was quite reasonable all the way along until it came to the end. And as always, you get this, oh, well, people shouldn't be talking about this case, but we can because we're not gossiping, we're not causing rumors and things. And then at the end, they give you all their links for how you can contribute to their channel and that, which is fine. Don't get me wrong, I think that's fine. But then don't be saying that you're different from any other channel. You're not different from any other channel. You're a crime channel, a true crime channel. They talked about rumors all the way through, and then at the end said, oh, but we don't like to talk about rumors. just you're talking about the case just the same as anybody else's. I don't know why people always have to try and say they're better than anyone else. To me, I'm not. I would never criticize another channel. Oh, that just reminds me, I had to actually delete a comment earlier. Caroline, if you're watching, I'm sorry, you mentioned another channel, so I just had to delete the comment. That's why I don't mention other channels, because I don't want to criticize them. I don't want to say they're good. I don't want to say they're bad. They're doing their thing. I do my thing. And, people will either like me or they won't. And if they don't like me, then that's fine as well. Sometimes I think people don't realize it's not obligatory to listen to a YouTube channel. Oh, and a note, anyway, because I'm getting distracted, but no, I'll talk about that tomorrow. So let's get on with this podcast, because I know there'll be people out there be going, oh, get on with the podcast.
Like UK.
Yeah, we're like the UK's
affiliated.
UK's little sister. So I've had even a friend I go to the gym with, she's like,
oh yeah, just go back a little bit, because she just said, oh, we're like the UK's little sister. That was the Australian girl. But, oh, move forward too much. No, too back. When you want to get on 9 and it's going from 8 to 10 anyway.
Attention. Some people who follow true crime would know it here.
All right, so we'll get into it.
This is Nicola Bulley leaving home on the day she vanished, setting off on the school run, putting her spaniel Willow in the boot. Her family today released these pictures to show exactly what she was wearing. For days, police have been searching for any trace of the mother of 2 young girls. Today was no different. What did seem very obvious was the large number of other people out too. This is the bench where Nikki's mobile phone was found a week last Friday. Today is dry, it's sunny, and the number of people out along here is extraordinary. There are dozens and dozens of people along this stretch, along the other stretches as well, all walking the riverside paths to try and assist in the search.
I mean, I know if she went missing in the same way, I would be expecting people to go looking. Do you understand what I mean? I would really want there to be a search party.
If it was myself or my eldest, who we both take the dogs out on our own, if it was one of us that was in that situation, I'd hope the community do the same thing for us as well. And I just feel like everybody should be doing their part.
John, what I find really interesting about this podcast, I don't know how they did it, but they've got things that I've never heard before. Like, I don't know those people that were talking, but maybe I just wasn't looking into it deeply enough at the time. Now, they released this video finally on the 23rd of February, but you'll see that through podcast. Through most of the podcast, Nicola hadn't been found yet. And you'll see as we go along, they say, oh, if there's any developments before we release this podcast, we'll put an extra section in, and that's exactly what they do. So although it says the 23rd of February there, they must have recorded it before, because most of it is recorded before Nicola was so sadly found.
She disappeared without trace. Police believe she accidentally fell in the River Wyre, but it's the not knowing for sure which is keeping people looking.
So, like we were saying, she's probably been missing going on like 3 weeks right now. When this comes out, if she's still not found, it'll be
4
like
weeks.
4-ish weeks. If she is found or anything by the time this comes out, we'll put in a clip at the end. Unless it's like crazy, we'll
do an update.
We'll add an update or something. All right, so Nicola is a 45-year-old woman from Lancashire in England, and her family said that her nickname is Nikki. Her parents are Ernest and Dot, and she has a sister named Louise. She was born in Essex, but moved to Lancashire around 25 years ago, and her partner is Paul Ansell. They met 12 years ago after Nicola's first marriage fell apart.
They do make me laugh sometimes when I've been listening to podcasts or YouTube from other countries. They were really struggling pronouncing like Lancashire and Morecambe Bay. I heard one person say, oh, they were thinking the body might have gone to Morecambe Bay instead of Morecambe. But I can't pronounce a lot of the American and Australian.
And they have 2 daughters together, Harriet, age 9, and Sophia, age 6. Nicola posted a lot on social media just weeks before she vanished. The family went on.
Of course, a lot of the American YouTubers, etc., were saying Nicola. You know, they couldn't get the hang of Nicola either, could they? It's interesting, isn't it? We speak the same language, but we're pronouncing things differently.
A vacation to Center Parks.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys know what Center Parks is, but basically
No.
it's like a chain of kind of holiday parks in the UK where you go and they're geared towards families. They have like, some of them have water parks. It's basically not a place where you would generally go as a couple. You would go there if you had kids, and it's geared a lot towards kids, you know, noisy, lots of activities, those type of things. Kind of like, I know what you have, is it the Wolf water park things that you have there? What's the
Yeah.
It's quite funny that they have to explain what Center Parks is as well. You know, it's funny that when you sort of live in a country, you just assume, you know, you don't realise that people in other countries don't know what Center Parks is, because you just think, well, Center Parks, everybody knows what that is, but they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what it's called.
Great Wolf Lodge.
Yes, something like yes, something like kind of along those lines.
Yeah, and there's another one that starts with a K that I can't think of. Well, sounds like a fun trip for them.
Yeah, it's fun for the kids.
So she posted some pics of Elf on a Shelf antics from their holiday on December 4th, 2022. She posted those elves. They were squirting some ketchup and mayonnaise, and they drew a Santa Claus. Very cute, very creative.
Just as one other thing, I've got some of those screenshots from her social media on the blog, but when I went on there yesterday just to have another look, everything's gone. So if you go to her Facebook now, pretty much everything's private or it's been removed. So if you want to have a
Yeah, so these girls who are at the end sale, they're nothing like other YouTubers or whatever, because they've been on there and taken all the social media off there. So you'll find if you go to the blog, as I say, I'm not showing it only because the children are on it and the faces haven't been covered up. But if you go onto their blog, which you can find if you go in their True Crime Society podcast, go on their blog. They've taken, you know, Facebook, all the social media, and screenshot them. You know, she says that, she said, oh, I've learned to screenshot. I don't, you know, what she's done, fine, they were public photos and that's fine. I mean, I've done that. We've all done that. But don't then at the end say that you're different from anybody else. You know, that's just what people did because people wanted photos and people did do that. We have to remember that our Facebook, etc., unless we make them private, they are public. And, you know, I've had that happen to me. I've had my photo taken off things and put on something else by trolls and stuff. You know, what can I say? You know, that's a public photo. What can I do about it?
look at some of the previous social media posts that I'm glad we got screenshots. They're on the blog.
Always screenshot. We've learned all these years. So she was working as a self-employed mortgage and protection advisor at the time that she disappeared. And the family also has a Springer Spaniel dog named Willow, which might seem like a random fact, but it does matter. So the day she disappeared was January 27, 2023, which was a Friday. And there's a pretty comprehensive timeline of her last confirmed movements that we'll go through. So she left home at 8:26 a.m. and she dropped the kids off at school. She had a chat with another parent for around 15 minutes. And at 8:43, she went for a walk on a path by River Wire.
Yeah. I have read too that she actually drove the kids to school and left the car there and went on the walk from there. So I feel like this is a small little village. If you go on Google Street View, you can really kind of get a feel of the area. But the routine was that she drove to the school, left the car there, and then went for a walk around the area.
Yeah. And there's some pictures of the river on the blog. It really looks like a lame river, but I guess it could be. I saw people saying it's deceiving and it might have like a strong current, but it doesn't look very deep or wide.
It's a really long river. Like I think it's 28 kilometers or something like that, which is maybe it's 45 kilometers and 28 miles or something like that. So it's very long, but the bit that she walked across looks more like a stream. Like it's not very wide. And I've even seen some comments that say it was around 2 feet deep near where she was walking, but then I've also seen other comments that say for some reason it was deeper. But from the pictures, where she was walking does not look treacherous at all. I know the river does get bigger and wider and it does eventually go out to the sea, but where the bits where she was doesn't look like that.
Yeah, but again, we don't really know. We've never been there, so if anyone's like gonna be mad and be like, "No, that's a terrible river," I'm just going off pictures.
There's a group member of ours, Samantha, and she gave me a lot of info for this. She had a lot of screenshots that have since been deleted and removed from the internet. And I said to her, "Is that really what the river is like?" And she said yes. So the river in that area is like that. I've put a video on the blog too if you want to go and check.
Yeah, so they're talking about the river there, just saying that, you know, it's not very deep and this, that, and the other. Now, they don't know, they haven't actually been there, but she said, oh, we've put a video of the river on the blog. You know, so they know something about it. They've looked at, but it's interesting hearing them say that for me, because obviously with them being, one being American, the other being Australian, they're probably used to massive rivers. And, you know, honestly, God, if they went to that river at St. Michael's and looked at it, they'd be like, what? This can't possibly be, nobody could drown in here, because they're used to talking about much bigger rivers and much, they'd call that a creek, wouldn't they? I mean, there's some of you on here that are from America or Australia. Would you look at St. Michael's and think that's a creek rather than a river? I don't know, because the rivers are bigger there.
Check it out. It's not a raging river at that.
No, like there's no rapids or anything. There's a dog in it in this one picture. There's some cows grazing by it in another picture.
Yeah, and it's very narrow. Like it looks like, I would guess, 2 meters wide, maybe 3 meters. Like, and at some bits it's even narrower. So it's not a wide river that, you know, you could swim across. You could literally walk across it if it was shallow in 30 seconds. Probably not even that.
Yeah. So this was a regular route for her. She would walk it regularly, and on average, it would take her about 30 minutes to complete the loop and then return to her car, which her family says she parked in the same spot about 1,000 times over through the years. In November 2022, she made a social media post from the same spot. You could see the little river in the background, and she's wearing a winter hat and a winter coat and smiling, and says, "Very foggy, cold. Walk this morning. Not a day to forget your gloves. Bit spooky too. Set me up for the day though, and Willow had the best time."
It looks like a bit foggy. You can't really see in the background. Like you can tell it would have been freezing cold. It's, yeah, that's what she means by spooky. If you're wondering why she said it was spooky.
Yeah, it's just foggy. There's nothing really
now,
menacing about it.
Sorry.
So that brings us to 8:50.
Now, I just want to listen to that again. I don't think I've seen that. Has anybody else seen that, where they're saying she posted and said it was spooky? Not because she was scared or whatever, but because it was foggy. I haven't seen that post or photo or whatever it is. I'll just put it back a little bit so we can hear it again.
A small little village. If you go on Google Street View, you can really kind of get a feel of the area. But the routine was that she drove to the school, left the car there, and then went for a walk around the area.
Yeah. And there's some pictures of the river on the blog. It really looks like a lame river, but I guess it could be. I saw people saying it's deceiving and it might have like a strong current, but it doesn't look very deep or wide.
It's a really long river. Like I think it's 28 kilometers or something like that, which is maybe it's 45 kilometers and 28 miles or something like that. So it's very long, but the bit that she walked across looks more like a stream. Like it's not very wide. And I've even seen some comments that say it was around 2 feet deep near where she was walking. But then I've also seen other comments that say for some reason it was deeper. But from the pictures, where she was walking does not look treacherous at all. I know the river does get bigger and wider and it does eventually go out to the sea, but where the bits where she was doesn't look like that.
Yeah, but again, we don't really know. We've never been there, so if anyone's like gonna be mad and be like, "No, that's a terrible river," I'm just going off pictures.
There's a group member of ours, Samantha, and she gave me a lot of info for this. She had a lot of screenshots that have since been deleted and removed from the internet. And I said to her, "Is that really what the river is like?" And she said yes. So the river in that area is like that. I've put a video on the blog too if you want to go and check it out. It's not a raging river at that.
No, like there's no rapids or anything. There's a dog in it in this one picture. There's some cows grazing by it in another picture.
Yeah, and it's very narrow. Like it looks like, I would guess, 2 meters wide, maybe 3 meters. Like, and at some bits it's even narrower. So it's not a wide river that, you know, you could swim across. You could literally walk across it if it was shallow in 30 seconds. Probably not even that.
Yeah. So this was a regular route for her. She would walk it regularly, and on average, it would take her about 30 minutes to complete the loop and then return to her car, which her family says she parked in the same spot about 1,000 times over through the years. In November 2022, she made a social media post from the same spot. You could see the little river in the background, and she's wearing a winter hat and a winter coat and smiling, and says, "Very foggy, cold. Walk this morning. Not a day to forget your gloves. Bit spooky."
Yeah, I haven't seen that photo, so I don't know if anyone's got that photo or knows about that, but I haven't seen that.
You too. Set me up for the day though, and Willow had the best time.
It looks like a bit foggy. You can't really see in the background. Like you can tell it would have been freezing cold. That's what she means by spooky. If you're
Yeah.
wondering why she said it was spooky.
Yeah, it's just foggy. There's
Yeah.
nothing really menacing about it. So that brings us to 8:50 a.m. approximately, and a dog walker who knows Nicola saw her walking around the lower field with her dog. Their two dogs interacted briefly before the witness left the field via the river path. So 8:53 a.m., Nicola sent an email to her boss, and at 9:01 she logged into a Teams call and she had her camera off and audio muted, which I've seen some people say they thought that was weird, but I don't think that's weird because sometimes in meetings you just have to listen.
Yeah, maybe it was like an end of week wrap up or something because it was a Friday and it's literally just, if she had no input, why else would you need to have your things on? I
Yeah.
don't think it's unusual. I always, even in a meeting like that, I always mute myself unless I really want to say something.
Contribute.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So around 9:10 a.m. now, another witness, somebody who knows her, saw her on the upper field walking Willow. At 9:30, the team's call ended, but Nicola stayed logged on. And then just 5 minutes later, approximately 9:35, Nicola's cell phone was found by another dog walker on a bench by the river. Willow was also nearby. The phone was still connected to the team's call, and Willow's leash and harness were nearby. So it seems like she might have let the dog off the leash.
For a run around, yeah.
He was running around a little.
I think I've read, I hope I'm getting this right, but
Well, according to Anne-Marie Fletcher, the leash was round. The leash, when they say the leash, they mean the lead. The lead was still attached to Willow's collar, wasn't it? It was one of those extended ones, but it was, attached to a collar and it was not extended. So the lead was still on. It wasn't, separate. It was the harness that had been chucked on the riverbank, as far as I'm concerned. Harness chucked on the riverbank, phone left on the bench. And I agree with Paul Ansell. I think they were decoys.
I think I read the leash was on the bench too, and then the harness was on the ground. So, obviously, maybe she was sitting on the bench, had a phone and the leash there, and she'd taken the harness off for the dog to have a run around and just let it on the ground.
Yeah. So we read that the dog walker recognized Willow because I'm sure just all these people probably regularly walk their dogs around there, but they weren't sure who the owner was. So this person called her daughter, who knew that the dog belonged to Nicola, and they called her partner, Paul, to let him know the situation. And it seems like that was around 10:50 a.m. So it seems like it's a very small town where everyone kind of knows each other and their dogs.
Yeah.
So Paul, her husband, he said, "I got a call from the school regarding somebody who had found Willow. Nikki's phone and the dog lead and harness were on the bench. We take the kids to school and take the dog down there, either myself or Nikki, nearly every day."
How are you coping? It must be so difficult. Like you say, your focus is on the girls, and it has to be. But
yeah,
it must be so difficult.
I don't know how I'm coping. I don't even want to actually think about that. Just focus. Just like I say, it's just about the girls. That's it. I'm there for them. I don't want to really elaborate on that. I don't want to take my eye off that.
It must be heartwarming to see the public response. Hundreds of people trying to help.
It's amazing. It is right now. It's the only thing that we can take is, that level of support is out of this world. It gives us a great amount of comfort.
When no trace of Nicola could be found, the police started searching for her that day. It was confirmed quickly that Willow was dry when she was found, indicating that she hadn't gone into the river, the dog, and also that Nicola knew how to swim.
some of the early theories was that maybe the dog had got in trouble and Nicola then got in trouble trying to rescue her. Like the dog had
Mhm.
fallen into the river, but it seems like that probably wasn't the case.
Yeah, and I saw some people being like, "Oh, the dog could have just been dry by then," but it wasn't that long. The dog would have definitely still been wet.
And it's the middle of winter there, so it would have been freezing cold.
Yeah, not like a
Um,
hot sunny day.
Yeah, like where it would have dried in 15 minutes. It would still have some signs of wet if it had gone in the river.
Yeah. So her family have said that she was in good spirits at the time. She had recently secured a new client at work and was
Just the fact that Willow wasn't wet to me says that there's no way that she went in the river, because no way Nicola went in the river, because I swear that dog was a swimming dog. I know some dogs don't like water, but that dog did like water. So surely that dog would have gone in after Nicola. You know, even though it might have been dangerous for it. Dogs, well, you know, wouldn't be thinking, oh, this would be dangerous. You'd just be thinking, oh, God, that's my mummy there going, I'm going in with her. Anyway, you know, we can say this till we're blue in the face. It never makes any difference. I don't know if we'll ever find out the whole truth, but let's hope so.
was excited about that. She'd spoken to her sister the night before she disappeared about a spa visit they had coming up, and they discussed what treatments they were going to get. So the following day, on January 28th, Lancashire Constable...
Constabulary. You could just say Lancashire Police if you want. That's easier. It's just what they call the police force there. Constabulary.
Lancashire...
Just say police.
No, I'm going to say it. Lancashire Constabulary
They
started using drones.
They don't know how to say Lancashire, so they say Lancashire. It's quite funny that.
Helicopters and police search dogs to search for Nicola. A mountain search and rescue team, as well as an underwater search team, were also engaged. There was a seemingly abandoned house in the area that was also searched to no avail.
I've also seen in terms of that the house wasn't actually abandoned, but the person who had lived there had just died recently. So no one was living there. So it essentially isn't abandoned. It's just empty at the moment.
Vacant.
Yeah.
On January 29th, local residents held a meeting at the village hall around 10:30 a.m. to organize some searches, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Over 100 people turned up to help, including Nicola's partner, Paul. Police urged volunteers to exercise caution, describing the river and its banks as extremely dangerous and saying that activity in these areas presented a genuine risk to the public.
Now, I just want to say, she said that Paul turned up to help to search. I didn't know that. Did he? Did he turn up to search? Where are they getting that information from?
Volunteer searchers were told to move upriver while professionals moved downstream. And again, there was no...
I didn't know that either. Is that how it happened? You know, that they were organised, one to go one way and one to go the other way. It's the first time I've heard this, so I don't know where they've heard this from.
Trace of her.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's interesting that the police actually agreed to let all these volunteers search the actual river area.
Yeah, especially if they're saying it was dangerous.
And contaminating evidence if there was evidence. Like, I feel like in most cases in the US especially, they're like, no, leave it to us. And they would, like, some volunteers search another area just in case, like to clear an area rather than the actual
yeah, or like after likely. They search first and then...
Yeah.
On January 30th, Superintendent Sally Riley from Lancashire Constabulary said police were keeping a really open mind.
Yeah, they can't say constabulary either. Constabulary. It's quite endearing, actually, isn't it? Not Lancashire Constabulary is not endearing, but it's quite endearing the way they're saying the word. Okay, sorry.
And about what could have happened, they said at this point they were not treating her disappearance as suspicious and that there were no signs of foul play. The superintendent also said there was no evidence of any criminal activity or that Nicola had been attacked. January 31st, police spoke to a witness who had also been walking his dog in the area at the time, and he's understood to have lived locally and been a regular on the route, but he had not seen Nicola on the day that she vanished. Her family released a statement saying that they had been overwhelmed by the support in their community and that her daughters were desperate to have their mummy back home safe. On February 1st, Her parents spoke to the media about the horrific situation. Her father said, "We just dread to think we'll never see her again. If the worst came to the worst and she was never found, how will we deal with that for the rest of our lives?" They said they had urged the police to reconsider whether Nicola may have been abducted or attacked, but were told that this was unlikely.
Only for you, what's the last week been like as a father?
It's been very difficult. As from last Friday morning to date, it's just been so painful. We're such a close-knit family. We talk to each other, both our children, Louise and Nicola, and the children every day. There's not a day goes by without talking to them. And this has just emptied our lives at the minute. We just feel so empty. We appreciate everything that everyone's doing to find her. The police have been brilliant. The local community has been outstanding. And it's just comforting from that point of view. But at the end of the day, we just want her back.
On that point, the community spirit has been unbelievable in a very small village. How much has that helped you, knowing that people have come from far and wide to help look for your daughter?
Massive. It's been massive. We've really appreciated it. And everyone that's been involved doing the sweep search of the fields, etc., it's just given us hope that someone might find something that could give us that little clue to what might have happened.
On February 2nd, the police spoke with a second witness who they had identified with the help of the public using CCTV, but they told police they didn't have any further information to aid their inquiry. Police kept searching the water and the area where Nicola's phone was found, and her family were interviewed on TV with her sister, appealing for anyone with information to come forward and get my sister back. On February 3rd, police confirmed that their main theory was that she had fallen into the water. Superintendent Riley said it was possible that an issue with her dog may have led her to the water's edge and urged the public to look out for her clothing. The following day, Nicola's sister made a post about that possibility. She urged the public to keep an open mind as there's no evidence whatsoever that Nicola went into the water. Police also appealed for a person who was seen pushing a buggy or a pram to come forward as they believe she may be a key witness. So on February 5th, that person came forward and police said that they were very much being treated as a witness and warned against totally unacceptable speculation and abuse on social media.
I feel like because it's such a small town, everyone started to point fingers. Like, if that person was known to be walking their baby, like maybe they went for a walk every morning, like that's what they kind of mean. That's why they're saying this person is absolutely only a witness, nothing more.
Private underwater forensics firm Specialist Group International offered their services free of charge after speaking to Nicola's family, and the police agreed to draft them in to start the following week, February 5th. The SGI search started February 6th, Monday, and the chief of SGI, Peter Falding, told the Mirror his high-tech sonar equipment would find Nicola in the water under an hour if she fell into the water by the bench, but nothing was found. Police gave another update on February 7th, and Superintendent Riley said river searchers were now spreading out towards the sea at Morecambe, but reiterated that.
Oh, she even said Morecambe correctly as well, because there was quite a lot of them that were saying Morecambe. But yeah, it's interesting. I've just found this podcast so interesting just to hear them, the way they're talking. Where were they getting their information from at the time? Because some of the things they say is slightly different from what I thought.
Police do not believe there was any foul play involved in the disappearance. She said despite over 500 pieces of information currently being reviewed, the investigators are yet to find anything conclusive. And that brings us to February 8th. SGI pulled out of the search for Nicola. They said they were 100% confident that she was not in the immediate stretch of water from the bench after trawling several miles over 2 days. Mr. Falding said the case is baffling, but was glad his team hadn't found a body, as it meant that Nicola may still be alive somewhere.
I get that there's probably some science behind, how far they searched. They could probably look at the current of the river and how far she could have traveled in that time. But this is still 11 days or whatever after she went missing. I feel like several miles of a 30-mile river isn't really, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It just seems weird that he's like 100% she's not in there. They didn't search the whole river. And
Well, they were Peter Falding and his team, weren't they only given a certain section of the river to search? Weren't they only told to search a particular section? I think part of the problem, the more I think about it, I think part of the problem here was that there was this animosity between Peter Falding and the Lancashire Constabulary. There was so much animosity. You know, it was like, instead of, there's something going on at the moment in this world, instead of people getting together and helping to find out things or solve things or do good work, everyone's like, everyone wants to be first. I mean, was it Peter Falding wanted to be the first to find her? The constabulary, they were like, wanted to be the first to find. Why didn't they all get together and do it together? Why was this animosity between them? I honestly, that's how it felt at the time, to be honest. And you know, it felt like Peter Falding was looked on as interfering with the search rather than helping in the search. It's quite odd, isn't it? I think it is, anyway.
And like, yeah, a long time after she went missing. It's interesting.
I just don't understand this river because it looks so lame in the pictures in the area she was in, but like it must be deep enough where they use sonar at least. Like if it's 2 feet deep, they're not going to use sonar, I don't think.
Yeah, I might see. I might look it up and see if I can see how deep it gets while we're talking.
I saw a comment that said it was like, I don't know if it was like 10 feet.
It says the usual range of the river is between 0.4 meters, which is that's like very short, and 4.73 meters. So 4.73 is deep. I'll just get the conversion. Hold on. So 4.7. So 15 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still not hundreds of feet deep. Like it's, you know, deep, but I wouldn't say it's crazy deep anyway. So it's between 1 foot and 15 foot, essentially, is how deep it is.
The search for Nicola continued on February 9th in the sea. The police said there are currently no further press conference scheduled as things stand. An article about a, quote, tatty red van in the area came out on that day as well. This information comes from the Mirror and says, it has now emerged that a concerned resident spotted a suspicious-looking vehicle believed to be a Renault outside a barn in St. Michael's on January 27th. The witness contacted the police to report a suspicious red van parked in the village close to where Nicola went missing. The 55-year-old witness, who had not been named, told the Times that they saw the tatty red van in Hall Lane outside of Bar.
Now, I need to talk about, I knew nothing about this van. I know people mention it and that, but they, maybe at the time I wasn't looking into it so closely, I don't know. But so they're coming out, somebody had seen this tatty red van, but of course Rebecca in the press conference poo-pooed the idea that the red van was anything to do with it. But in the, other people said that yes, this red van was suspicious. So I don't know.
Barn. They said, I didn't think anything at the time, but when I saw Nicola had gone missing, I called 101 and spoke to an operator. I contacted the police again on Friday and spoke to a police officer. It could have been a Renault van. The St. Michael's resident said the vehicle was sort of a van you could live in. A second witness, who happens to work in search and rescue in the south of the country, revealed to the Sun that they had seen a red van which looked suspicious at 9:40 that morning. The man, who requested not to be...
So has anyone heard that before, that they said it was a van that you sort of could live in? I've not heard that before. Now, of course, van life these days, it's very popular. You know, lots of people have vans, even small vans, where they put a little mattress in the back, they sleep in it, they live in it, or they travel in it. I've never heard that before again. So there was quite a lot of interesting things in this podcast that I'd never heard before.
Be named said they called the police 3 days after Nicola went missing when they realized that the vehicle might be significant in their inquiries. He said, they thanked me and asked if I had any dash cam footage and told me they were taking my information seriously. The Lancashire police have since come out, though, and said that there's nothing to suggest that the red van is suspicious. Along the same lines as the van sighting, locals also reported seeing 2 fishermen who were acting strangely who were acting strangely around the time Nicola vanished. A witness told police he saw 2 men acting suspiciously near the route that Nicola would have.
So that was the fisherman, wasn't it? Or, you know, he said he saw, whoever that was, said he saw 2 people acting suspiciously. Rebecca said she didn't find it strange to see 2 fishermen near a river. Fair enough, even though it wasn't fishing season. And to me, it wasn't suspicious seeing those men. It was suspicious they didn't come forward. How many people have not come forward? The man in black, the 2 fishermen. You know, if they said, oh yeah, these people came forward and, you know, they were cleared. No, they never came forward. But then it was just like, but we didn't think they were suspicious. How do you know they weren't suspicious if they didn't come forward?
Walking on. He said they were trying to hide their faces.
So many suspicious people in such a small little town.
I know. So it was very strange. It made me uneasy. I feel like it was just, like you said, small town, and like everyone's like turning on each other now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow, that person didn't face me, so maybe they are suspicious. Like, maybe they could be very well be suspicious. We don't know, but just seems like, yeah, there's a lot of maybe exaggeration of these kind of circumstances. And I feel like 2 people would rack their brains like, wow, I've never seen that van before. Maybe it's unusual. Maybe I'll call the police. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, especially from like a distance, you could take anything as being whatever you want in hindsight. Like there's people outside my apartment all the time looking at, there's a river near me, and I could easily like look out and just be like, oh, there's people looking at the river. But then if I knew there was a crime, I would be like, oh, those people are out there. They were kind of suspicious.
And we live on a very quiet road, and essentially no one comes down this road unless you live here, because no one knows it's here. So anytime like I see a car, I don't realize. I'm like, who's that?
What's going on?
So it's kind of along those lines. I'm sure people just are used to seeing the same people, the same cars every day, and when you see something a little bit different, they probably just reported it.
Nicola went missing with her car keys and a water bottle. Neither have been found. Her partner, Paul, apparently asked Mercedes, like the car company, not a person, if her keys could be tracked because they were Mercedes.
Now, I think this is strange. Oh, did I just cut it off? Hang on. Ah, sorry. Yeah, I think this is strange.
Clear about.
They say about the water bottle. You know, was the water bottle ever found? And then the keys. Now Paul was looking for the keys, wasn't he?
Nikki's keys being missing from the get-go. In the local searches, he specifically asked people to keep their eyes open for them and even organized for people to go out with metal detectors. One of the first things he did was contact Mercedes to see if they could be tracked. Paul said that Nicola would have had her keys in her coat pocket. He described them as a couple of Mercedes key rings on it, one black, one blue, a round wooden key ring with paw prints on it, and a couple of normal keys. Police have since said there is a gap in the timeline for this case that they can't fill in. Substantial CCTV in the surrounding areas has ruled out that Nicola left the park via a majority of the gates. The path leading to Garstang Lane, however, has proven to be a black spot. Police said, we can say with confidence that by reviewing CCTV, Nicola has not left the field during the key times via Rowan Water, either through the site itself or via the piece of land at the site. So basically, they had video of all the entrances, exits, except one, it seems. Yeah. They said, also, we can say that she did not return from the fields along Allotment Lane or via the path at the rear of the Grapes Pub onto Garstang Road. So Nicola was last seen by a witness at 9:10 and her phone was found at 9:35. The team's call ended at 9:20. And we're wondering, did she talk on the team's call at all? Did she say goodbye, or had she already vanished by the time the call ended? Like something happened while the call was going on.
It could have even been a call, say, like I haven't seen any information about the team's call, but it could have been maybe a call with like 100 people where literally she wasn't expected to say goodbye. Like if it was 5 people, you'd be like, okay, yeah, thanks, see ya. But you know, I've read some articles that say there was a 10-minute window that's not accounted for, but essentially if she didn't talk or show herself on the video at all, it could be a 25-minute call, because if she was seen at 9:10, the phone was at 9:35, that's the biggest window. But if she did say goodbye at 9:20, then the window is a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I feel like she probably didn't.
I also think she didn't, because I think people would have come out and said she seemed fine on the call, and there's been nothing like that. It's just literally she
Seems
logs
like
onto
a call where she didn't talk.
Yeah.
By mid-February, police said they had opened 500 lines of inquiry in the case and were looking to talk to more than 700 drivers seen in the local area.
So that is essentially kind of it in terms of the search for Nicola. The search is still ongoing. It's, I guess, been scaled back a little bit. That they're kind of the main points and the main first few days of the search. So we'll get now into some theories and kind of discussion about the case, because there is a lot of discussion in this one.
Yeah.
One possibility that has been brought up online is that someone may have been following Nicola and may have abducted her. We know that her family have said she parked the car 1,000 times in the same spot, and that she essentially did the same walk almost daily. Up until the end of last year, Nicola was really active on a lot of social media. She had a Strava account, which was spoken about as well in the Mariah Wilson and Colin Strickland case, which is basically like an app where you can track your runs, your rides, your walks. People can look at kind of the route that you've taken. She used to track all her walks on that, and she actually posted a ton of photos of her at this river with the dog, a lot of the photos. I feel like if you followed her, you would probably get an idea of her general exercise routine, where she generally went. So that's kind of one of the theories, is that maybe someone knew she was going to be there and was waiting for her. She did have 3 Strava accounts for some reason. She was very active on them up until November 2022, when she suddenly stopped posting. And I wonder why that is. Did she feel a little bit uneasy? The same seems to have been kind of for her Facebook page. She has 2 Facebook.
Now, is that true? So that was interesting what they said, that she suddenly stopped. That these women, these 2 girls who at the end say, oh, they're not gossipers or whatever, not like other channels, etc. Bless them. And don't get me wrong, I found this podcast interesting. I just don't think they should have slagged off other people at the end. But so they went through right at the beginning all Nicola's Facebook, social media and everything. They know that she stopped posting at some point. Why did she stop posting? Let's just listen to that again, because I find that really interesting.
They asked Mercedes, like the car company, not a person, if her keys could be tracked, because they were Mercedes keys. A source from another article said Paul's been clear about Nikki's keys being missing from the get-go. In the local searches, he specifically asked people to keep their eyes open for them and even organized for people to go out with metal detectors. One of the first things he did was contact Mercedes to see if they could be tracked. Paul said that Nicola would have had her keys in her coat pocket. He described them as a couple of Mercedes key rings on it, one black, one blue, a round wooden key ring with paw prints on it, and a couple of normal keys. Police have since said there is a gap in the timeline for this case that they can't fill in. Substantial CCTV in the surrounding areas has ruled out that Nicola left the park via a majority of the gates. The path leading to Garstang Lane, however, has proven to be a black spot. Police said, we can say with confidence that by reviewing CCTV, Nicola has not left the field during the key times via Rowan Water, either through the site itself or via the piece of land at the site. So basically, they had video of all the entrances, exits, except one, it seems. Yeah. They said, also, we can say that she did not return from the fields along Allotment Lane or via the path at the rear of the Grapes Pub onto Garstang Road. So Nicola was last seen by a witness at 9:10, and her phone was found at 9:35. The team's call ended at 9:20. And we're wondering, did she talk on the team's call at all? Did she say goodbye, or had she already vanished by the time the call ended? Like something happened while the call was going on.
It could have even been a call, say, like I haven't seen any information about the team's call, but it could have been maybe a call with like 100 people where literally she wasn't expected to say goodbye. Like if it was 5 people, you'd be like, okay, yeah, thanks, see ya. But I've read some articles that say there was a 10-minute window that's not accounted for, but essentially if she didn't talk or show herself on the video at all, it could be a 25-minute call, because if she was seen at 9:10, the phone was at 9:35, that's the biggest window. But if she did say goodbye at 9:20, then the window is a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I feel like she probably didn't.
I also think she didn't, because I think people would have come out and said she seemed fine on the call, and there's been
Yeah.
nothing like that. It's just literally she
Seems
logged
like
onto
a call where she didn't talk.
Yeah.
By mid-February, police said they had opened 500 lines of inquiry in the case and were looking to talk to more than 700 drivers seen in the local area.
So that is essentially kind of it in terms of the search for Nicola. The search is still ongoing. It's, I guess, been scaled back a little bit. That they're kind of the main points and the main first few days of the search. So we'll get now into some theories and kind of discussion about the case, because there is a lot of discussion in this one.
Yeah.
One possibility that has been brought up online is that someone may have been following Nicola and may have abducted her. We know that her family have said she parked the car 1,000 times in the same spot, and that she essentially did the same walk almost daily. Up until the end of last year, Nicola was really active on a lot of social media. She had a Strava account, which we've spoken about as well in the Mariah Wilson and Colin Strickland case, which is basically like an app where you can track your runs, your rides, your walks. People can look at kind of the route that you've taken. She used to track all her walks on that, and she actually posted a ton of photos of her at this river with the dog, a lot of the photos. I feel like if you followed her, you would probably get an idea of her general exercise routine, where she generally went. So that's kind of one of the theories, is that maybe someone knew she was going to be there and was waiting for her. She did have 3 Strava accounts for some reason. She was very active on them up until November 2022, when she suddenly stopped posting. And I wonder why that is. Did she feel a little bit uneasy? The same seems to have been kind of for her Facebook page. She has 2 Facebook pages, one for her mortgage business and one for her personal use. On the personal one, she posted a lot up until last year, when she hardly posted at all. But one of her friends has said that's when she turned everything private. It could just be a coincidence. Maybe she decided her kids are getting older and, she wanted privacy. But I just wonder if it seems like everything kind of stopped around the same time. But I now have another theory about why that may have also happened. So we'll get into that too. But it's interesting that they all seem to kind of cease at the same time.
Yeah, why did she have all those Strava accounts? That's what she was taught. And why did they all cease at that time? Oh, and something I want to add here. I don't think these girls knew about the welfare check. So I wonder if they would have known about the welfare check, because you'll see as this video goes on and the conclusions that they come to. Unless they've come to these conclusions and added to it later, I don't know, because you can fiddle. That's the problem with these kind of things. You don't know what's genuine and what isn't. But why did she have all those Strava accounts? And also, why did she stop all this posting? I think there were things I do think there were things going on, but I don't think it was her because of the menopause or because she had problems with alcohol. Don't believe any of that. I think there was big problems in that relationship at that time. That's what I think.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chat that there was one guy who followed all 3 Strava accounts, and apparently that's the only one who did follow all 3. So, people are pointing fingers at him.
I know a lot of people think it could be an abduction, but I just feel like it seems like there's so many people regularly in that area that basically saw her in like 10-minute intervals before she was abducted.
Yeah.
That
such a short window.
If she was abducted, wouldn't someone have heard or seen her? And the person who abducted her would have had to drag her off somewhere to the car, because it was just like a field with a river.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a roadway, for example, nearby. Like, he couldn't drive up and literally shove her into the car without being seen, you would think. I agree. I feel like it's a very short window for someone to be able to abduct a grown woman without probably the use of a vehicle until, a little bit away.
Yeah, because it was like someone saw her at 9:10, and then someone found her phone at 9:35. So those people would have been walking around in this seemingly pretty open field and been in the area.
And I'm pretty sure she was still walking at 9:10 as well. So that tells me she was, and then the call ended at 9:20. So it tells me that probably in that 10 minutes is where she sat down, and maybe something happened to her just before the team's call ended, which is why she never disconnected from it.
Yeah.
So on Nicola's mortgage Facebook profile, I don't really want to get into gossip, but this is kind of an interesting side story. There is a man on there who has liked every single photo of herself that she.
Now, this is interesting. Makes me laugh how she says, I don't want to get into gossip, but this is what they all do, isn't it? Of course, you know, they're trying to make out there's some sort of serious crime channel. They don't get into gossip. You know, I'm not saying I am Vicky Marie Chats. We're chatting like I'm chatting with you now. We could be in the pub chatting. We could be at home chatting. We could be having a coffee chatting. You know, I'm not saying I'm some sort of crime analyst or whatever. I'm not. I'm just chatting about it. Why do people seem to say, oh, I don't like to get into gossip, but anyway, it's very interesting what they say here, because I'd forgotten about this as well. I know there's a lot of you out there that you'll remember this now when she reminds you of it, and there'll be a lot of you out there that didn't even know about it.
She posted a bunch of mortgage, you know, information. He didn't like those. He only liked the photos that she posted of herself. We won't put his name out. We'll just call him T, the initial T. If you go on her Facebook, unless they've taken it down now since yesterday when they went through and kind of cleared everything, all his stuff was still on there. There's people questioning him on there. But just kind of as an interesting side note, a man with the same name as this guy had a fiance in 2001 who went missing in Essex, which is where Nicola was originally from. That fiance was also named Nicola. Her name was Nicola Ray. This info is from the Echo News. It says Nicola, a mum of two.
Now, this is interesting because, well, apart from the fact she calls it Essex instead of Essex. But yeah, she's going to now talk about Tim Barnes, who commented. And of course, there was the trouble is we can't link these people together as real people because we have only the police can do that, because, you know, I don't know if, I know that there was a woman called Nicola went missing in Essex, and it's thought that it was probably her husband, partner, Tim Barnes, who did it. But we don't know if that's the same Tim Barnes that was commented. We don't know. How can you, you know, if you're not a police person, how can you check those things? And, you know, there's a lot of strange people out there. You'd be surprised. Some people make up so many accounts and comment on so many things, and then they argue with themselves on different accounts. They make arguments with themselves. They post things anonymously, but it's just to try and get attention for themselves. You'd be surprised. There's some very, very strange people out there. It's a shame.
Who disappeared without a trace following a night out with friends in the early hours of May 2nd, 2000. And it talks about her case had become one of the most well-known and saddest unsolved cases. So as of today, 2023, she's still missing, I believe. She went missing in 2000, not 2001. But in 2010, this Nicola Ray's partner was arrested and charged with Nicola's murder, but police did end up releasing him without charge in November. So could be a coincidence. Like these two T's have the exact same name. One was from the area where Nicola disappeared from, and where the first Nicola, I know it's so many Nicolas, but
Caroline, I just saw what you said. I did a video on Nicola Ray a long time ago. It's on my channel, but of course there's a lot of videos on my channel now, but I did a video on her a long time ago. That's a very tragic case. Another mother who disappeared one day, and it's probably her ex-partner who did it, who disposed of her. But with that Nicola, there never has been a body found, unfortunately. So, you know, although her ex-partner or her partner, I would say their ex-partner, it's not really their ex-partner. I think actually they might have split up at the time. Tim Barnes, you know, he was arrested, he's been questioned, but there's no evidence. You know, this is it. It's all about evidence, isn't it? So poor Nicola Ray, she has never had justice either.
Basically, there's connections between all of them, if it turns out to be the same T. And interestingly, this T also made a post about Nicola Bulley being missing on February 4, and he wrote that she would be sadly missed, which is interesting for someone who is still missing. So this is all public record. It's all documented.
Yeah, so notice what they're saying there, that this person commented and said she will be sadly missed. And that had been before that she'd even been found. You know, before a body had been found. He commented and said she will be sadly missed. So it's either somebody who knew what had happened to her, or it was some sort of like nutter again. Unfortunately, the Nicola Bulley case has attracted a lot of very suspicious accounts, false accounts, not only here on YouTube, but on Twitter, Facebook, you name it. They're there. There's one person making loads of different accounts, and probably in my chat right now, probably in my members even, because they're very strange people.
He just, like, the post is about the search, and it just says, some of it's cut off. It says, Nicola Bulley will be sadly missed by all those who knew her and those fortunate enough to meet her. So it seems unusual. So that's kind of another along the lines of abduction. That's, I don't know. It's just, there's so much chatter about this guy. I thought I'd just pop it in generally. I feel like it probably nothing will come of that, but I just thought I'd pop it in so people aren't like, why didn't you talk about this?
It's definitely weird, but I still just feel like it'd be a hard abduction to pull off.
Yeah, I agree. So right before we recorded, police gave an update on the case, and they gave some more insight about why they still thought Nicola had gone into the river. They actually reiterated that they still believed that she was in the water. They said they classed her as high risk and that she had some vulnerabilities. So I'll read out their press release that happened yesterday. It said, today we held a live press conference to provide some updates in relation to our search for missing mum Nicola Bulley. We described how Nicola had some vulnerabilities at the time she went missing, and we just wanted to expand on that a little. It's really unusual for us to go into this level of detail about someone's private life, but we felt it was important to clarify what we meant when we talked about vulnerabilities to avoid any further speculation or misinterpretation. Sadly, it is clear from speaking to Paul and the family that Nicola had in the past suffered from some significant issues with alcohol, which were brought on by her ongoing struggles with menopause, and that these struggles had resurfaced over recent months. This caused some real challenges for Paul and the family. As a result of those issues, a response car staffed by both police and health professionals attended a report of concerns for welfare at Nicola's home on January 10. So that's 17 days before she went missing. No one has been arrested in relation to this incident, but it is being investigated. So I have done two kind of polls on Instagram. Before this update, I asked people what they thought had happened to Nicola, and I would say 95% of them said they believe she'd been abducted or murdered. And I asked people if they thought this kind of update about Nicola's maybe mental health and vulnerabilities changed their mind. Some people have said yes. A lot of people have said, no, this is victim blaming. Someone said, how could she be in the water? Wouldn't she resurface? And then someone said, now I feel the husband is framing her. So kind of along those lines, there has been a lot of speculation placed on Paul. No one has been named as a suspect in this case, but we've spoken many times about how, it's always the husband, and it's a general investigation into the husband in every single case. I feel like that happens, and the husband is either ruled in or ruled out very quickly. He's usually, I would assume, the first person looked at. So right after this update from the police where they spoke about her, alcohol issues and things like that, Nicola's partner, Paul, on Facebook changed his name to Sam Beckett. If you're not sure who Sam Beckett is, he's a character from the show Quantum Leap. This
is another thing that I remember from them. So these girls are talking about all these things, but wait and see what they say at the end, because you wouldn't think it was going there with what they're saying now. So all this about him changing his name on Facebook, and it's all weird. He could be here now on my chat, to be honest, PA, because he's that sort of person. That's exactly what he would do. So he could well be here chatting. Hi, Paul.
This is a bit of synopsis about it. It says, did Sam Beckett ever make it home? Although Sam wanted to go home, he instead chose to return and inform Beth that Al was still alive. The final caption of the show tells the audience that in the end, Sam never returned home. So it's like a weird, why would he pick that name? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's just very mysterious. People have been absolutely pointing the finger at him. If you Google Paul Ansell, which his name is out there in relation to the case, he's done a lot of interviews, but there's also a lot of criticism and speculation. For example, when
well, to be fair, he did 2 interviews. He hasn't done a lot of interviews. It was Emma who actually never mentions Emma, funnily enough. It was Emma who did 18 interviews. Paul actually only did 2 interviews, and then he sent the voice note to Sky News. Do you know, it's funny because the more I do these podcasts and things and go through things, that the more you think it was all so weird. So Paul did 2 interviews. He did the interview with Sky News by the side of the river where he grinned and everybody thought he was like strange. He did the interview with Channel 5, which again was strange. He then sent a voice note to Sky News. He has done no other interviews than that. So she's saying he did a lot of interviews. He didn't do a lot of interviews. He did 2 interviews and he sent 1 voice note. All the other 18 interviews were done by Emma.
He was asked what Nicola was wearing. He knew the brand of every single thing she was wearing. He was like, her gumboots are from Next, which is a store over there. Like, people are like, what husband knows that? What husband would know the brand of all the clothing labels that she was wearing? Like, it seems like it was almost prepared, is what people are insinuating. I don't know. Like,
I feel like this is like the one case where like I really don't think he's involved, probably.
Yeah, there's also, you know, again, I'm not getting into gossip. This will be the last gossipy thing that I want to mention. But there was a GoFundMe that one of Nicola's friends put on for Nicola for the case, and it was, I can't remember the.
Yeah, she's not getting into gossip, but she's going to just gossip a little bit more. I mean, it's just so funny. I don't like getting into gossip, but this is the last gossipy thing I'm going to say. And this is the GoFundMe. Again, people forget, don't they? You know, these are the reasons why people were suspicious. It wasn't for no reason.
Exact figures, but let's just say it started at £100,000, then she reduced it to £50,000, then it was £5,000, and then she took it down totally because of all the backlash that she got. And people have speculated that, you know, she's involved. It's just in every single case, even when we talk about, you know, the Moscow murders, it's always the people who are close that are going to be looked at. We have no reason to believe it's Paul. Police have said that he was working at home at the time, I believe, that she disappeared. So I'm sure they've looked into that. But it's just out there kind of as one of the theories. And until she's found, I guess it will remain one of the theories.
I just feel like it'd be easy for them to tell if he was there or at home or where he was with all, like, we learned so much from the Moscow case with how well they can track stuff, like your phone, they could track the car. They had cameras at every entrance there except one. And I doubt that Paul would have known that this one, like, didn't have camera activity on it. I just feel like they would have been able to easily prove if he was there or not. And I don't know. I think him knowing where her clothes are from isn't like that weird. Like, maybe he bought them for her. Maybe he just knows where.
Maybe he was with her
Mike
when
would
she
know
bought
where I
them.
got some of my clothes.
Yeah, and like, you know, she was wearing a winter coat. Like, I feel like most people don't have a lot of winter coats. It's not like she was wearing a t-shirt that she had 20 t-shirts. She probably had a couple of winter coats, if that. It's like, yeah, it's unusual, but I don't think it's a sign of guilt necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just one of those cases where people are just like behaving unhinged online.
And I do feel too that after this kind of announcement about her having health issues and her having addiction issues, maybe people have turned even more so on Paul because like maybe he wanted to get rid of her, or maybe she didn't actually have these issues at all. Maybe he's telling the police that in kind of an effort to cover up whatever has happened.
It just seems like a lot of jumping to conclusions. It's like it makes me feel embarrassed.
The thing too is that the police have been so scrutinized in this case for maybe not being as efficient and doing the right thing. They've got a lot of backlash today as well over that statement about her vulnerabilities and her health issues.
Yeah, I saw that too.
A lot of talk about them now being victim blaming. There's been a former police officer who actually spoke to the media and said that now Nicola's reputation has been destroyed. He said, you can understand why some people are saying it's victim blaming to protect their own reputation. I can't see how it progresses the case any further now we're 3 weeks in. So following this kind of backlash, which has just happened today, the Lancashire police have referred themselves to the police watchdog. Women campaigners have said that police have been trying to hide their incompetence, and ex-detective has called it astounding. So I feel like they did it. I'm not saying it's right why they released the information, but I understand why they did it, because people are like, why aren't you investigating all these other theories? But I feel like they made the point badly, but their point is she had a lot of things going on, whether or not they're insinuating that she fell into the river maybe while she was intoxicated, or if she took her own life. That's another theory, I guess, that could eventually be what actually happened. But it was just kind of an explanation as to why they are focusing on the river.
Yeah,
as
because
opposed
people
to
are
everything
being
else.
monsters online
Yeah.
about it and being crazy. It's like the same with Moscow again. Like people were just like shitting on the police constantly, being like, they're dumb, they don't know anything. But really, they just can't say. And then when the info came out, they're like, wow, applause to the police. Amazing. Great job.
And it
It's like
turned out
y'all
that
were roasted them 2 weeks ago.
it turns out that the police knew they pretty much very soon after the murders that they knew exactly what was going on. They just had to get all their ducks in a row.
Yeah, and it's not saying like police are always right and they always know what's going on, but like most of the time, like they're on the right track.
And I feel like too, in a lot of missing person cases, police will say something similar, probably just not with as more detail. Like that's why even in the US there's silver alerts, because that's like, there was one today that I've posted on the Instagram for someone who I think was 36, and they're like, why is that a silver alert? And I said, sometimes silver alert are for vulnerable people, and vulnerable generally means like a mental health, a health issue, something going on where they aren't able to essentially care for themselves.
Yeah, like I wasn't offended by the statement they put out. I feel like I've seen statements similar before, and I feel like it's also because at this point they're probably assuming she's most likely dead.
Yeah.
Not to be like the bearer of bad news, but I feel like that's the assumption, where it's kind of like they just need to find her at this point, and that information might like help somehow.
Yeah.
But I think it's
And
just another thing of like people just like want to get mad at things. Like people are already mad about this case. They're saying the police are doing a shitty job. They're not releasing any info. Now they did release info, and some people just like to be angry online.
And I feel like too, you just say, for example, if they had made the statement slightly different and they just said, look, we think she's highly vulnerable, and left it at that, people would be like, why? What's going on? Like, why aren't you giving us more information about that? It's one of those things where, yes, it's her medical history, and I guess, personal history, which probably shouldn't have been released. But I also feel like either whatever they said, no one was going to be happy with her.
They probably could have just left it at like she has had mental health struggles.
So I guess the theories that I've spoken about is abduction, or, that she was followed, maybe based on what she posted on social media. The husband could be, we don't know. I guess the other theory is that something happened to her based on her own hand. So either she ran off, she could still be alive, she could be hiding somewhere, suicide, or maybe she had an accident. Maybe if she did have this alcohol issue that they were talking about, maybe she somehow fell into the river and hit her head on a rock. Like that would explain even why she could swim, why she didn't.
Yeah, the thing that we've got to remember now is we're listening to this now, knowing what we know now. Well, she didn't hit her head on a rock, did she? I don't think she had a head injury, or did she have a head injury? It all gets so confusing in the end. Oh, get a face. Anyway.
I don't really want to say really, because I don't actually have a strong feeling on this one. I do feel she's in the water. I feel like she will eventually be found somehow in the water. And it's interesting too that since they've come out and said the stuff about the alcohol and the health issues, the SGI team have said, well, if that would have changed our search if we had have known that. The guys who said that, they were 100% sure. I don't know. Like they're like, I don't know. I feel like that. I don't think she's run off. I feel like she's probably in the water somewhere from either an accident or suicide.
Well, there you go. So that's her conclusion, that she's in the water from an accident or self-deletion.
My instinct is accident.
I think so too.
Like it seems like something happened where like she was on the phone listening, the dog was running around, and then something happened quickly where she just got up, left her phone there, the dog was off the leash, and it just seems like she just like got up quickly.
Yeah, like I feel like.
What do you think? Do you agree with them?
There has to be a reason. Otherwise, why don't she just put the phone in the pocket, for example? Like, I feel like she really thought that she'd just a quick, get the dog or whatever. We don't obviously know whatever happened. It was just a quick, just split-second decision.
Yeah, like the only way I'm not bringing my phone with me because I'm just paranoid of like people stealing is like if it's something really quick where I'm like, oh my god, like maybe the dog was getting too close to the ledge or the dog was getting close to the water and she like got up to get the dog away. Or maybe there was like another dog, or I don't know. But like something could have happened where she just.
Now, something she said there, I think it's true. I don't think you would leave your phone on the bench even if you went to, sort something out or whatever. Because if you've got an iPhone, first of all, an iPhone, how much your iPhone's about £700 or whatever, or Also, apart from the value of the phone, you've got all your information in there, all your personal information, every bit of it. So I don't think you would leave your phone on the bench. I honestly don't think that. I think you would have it in your pocket. You just stuff it. If you were running off to sort your dog out or whatever, you could stuff it in. You've got it in your hand, don't forget. So you've got it in your hand. So your first instinct would be to stick it in your pocket, in my opinion. Why would you leave an iPhone on the bench when you don't know who's around, who might take it? Anyway, I haven't got an iPhone. I've just got really cheap phones. But for any of you who've got an expensive phone, tell me what you would do. Sorry, I need to...
Somehow happened to fall in the river.
Yeah. So I feel like the most likely outcome is that she will be found in the river, but also I wouldn't be surprised if it does end up being one of these other kind of scenarios that we've spoken about.
I'd be shocked if it was like an abduction or murder. I'd gasp.
Yeah, that just seems like too there are a lot of shady people, but it's the same with, I know we keep talking about Moscow, but that was probably the most comprehensive one that we've spoken about lately. But in every case, there are shady people who insert themselves. Like even on the blog today, I did a blog on this case and I just saw there's a comment from a man saying, but no crimes happened here. And I'm like, but I haven't replied yet, but we don't know.
It's a missing person.
And we don't know. It could be a crime. We have no idea.
Yeah, but even
like just
whether it is or not,
like
missing people are always just like true crime.
Yeah, but I feel like someone makes a comment like that and then people run with it. They're like, is he deflecting? Like that's what's happening in this case. There's a lot of online speculation based on some shady things that people have said, people inserting themselves in the case. It's made it, I can't even imagine how these police are navigating this because it's very, very messy.
Yeah, and it's even like with Moscow, people might not be shady, but then people perceive them as being shady in hindsight. Like when the girls for Moscow were at the food truck and then one guy, after they walked off, walked literally just in the same direction as them. And then it was off camera, but all he did was walk in the same direction down the sidewalk. And people were like, oh, he followed them, but he could have literally just like turned left off camera. And not
maybe that was
in the same
direction
at
to
all.
his house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to kind of wrap up, I did find an interesting article where they asked Metropolitan Police Detective Chief Inspector Peter Kirkham some questions about the case. And I thought that they were interesting because I feel like a lot of us have the same questions. So I'll read through a few of them, but I'll put the whole thing up on the blog if you want to read every question he answered. But some of them are ridiculous. Like, did they check CCTV? And you'd be like, well, yeah, you'd hope so. So these are kind of the most interesting ones. If Nicola did end up in the river, where and when would she surface? And when would it be likely that she would be spotted? So he said detectives will have taken expert evidence from academics and others who spend their lives studying the movement of water and its impact on items such as the body which are in it. This is a hugely...
Now, I found that interesting what she was saying about the Idaho murders, which I still haven't done a video on. I keep meaning to. There's so many other things to talk about. But it's interesting because, when those poor four young people were murdered in Idaho, in Moscow, Idaho, at first, everyone was moaning, saying the police weren't doing anything, and they were. But of course, the police were working behind the scenes. And I hope that right from the beginning with Nicola Bulley, you'll see if you look at any of my early videos, I really thought something was bubbling under the surface, if you'll pardon the expression. I really thought that the police were looking into it. I trusted the police to find out what had happened to Nicola. And I really felt like there was police work going on. And there's a part of me that now still feels that maybe something's, being looked into. And then there's another part of me that despairs. Honestly, there's part of me that just feels like saying, that's it. I'm never doing another Nicola Bulley video ever again. Because you get slagged off no matter what you do. You make a video, you get slagged off. You don't make a video, you get slagged off. It's like, and it's horrible. Sort of just keep sort of watching it and thinking there is something has happened here, but I don't know what's happened. I can't prove it. I get I get email after email. I get crazy theories. I get possible theories. I get you name it, everybody's got their theory, and it's actually for my mental health, it's not very, good. It's disturbing. And all I want, my own thoughts is that something did happen. Something happened more than whatever we're being told that has happened. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking at Nicola and I'm thinking, yeah, but I don't know. So it's disturbing for my mental health, and the nastiness that you get from people. There's some very sort of sad people out there, because oh gosh. So this is what I'm trying to say is, I hope that there's something going on under the surface. I can't solve this case. I could do a million videos. I'm not going to solve it. I'm not police. I have to hope that the police are looking into it and they're going to come up with something, but maybe it'll never happen. So anyway. So there you go. That's me with my another little rant. Sometimes I get a little bit ranty, but it's only because I do care about whatever has happened to Nicola, but I don't know if the truth will ever come out.
Complex area, and there are many unknown and unknowable factors in play. As a result, the information given to officers will not be particularly reliable or precise. In most cases, a body will emerge in about 5 to 10 days, but the margin for error is large. So we now know it's been a lot longer than 5 to 10 days. But in terms of things like maybe if she's in the river, she could have been stuck under a log. There's a whole
even
bunch.
with like Naya Rivera. Right?
Yes.
It was just a lake. Everyone knew she was in the lake, but it took them a long time to find her just because the lake was like really murky, had like literal trees in it, and it was hard to navigate.
Yeah. So, and I know there was a missing person here called Logan. He was missing to be fair, he went missing in the ocean, which is different because I know the ocean currents are a lot stronger and all that, but it took them months to find him, months and months. And sometimes people are never found. If she somehow made it to the ocean, it could take a very long time for her to be found.
Even Jelani Day, wasn't he a couple weeks?
Yeah. Like we've just recently spoke about Bryce Borko. If he went into the water, that was October. He still hasn't been found. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I get it. The margin for error is huge. They can do all their mapping and analysis, but essentially if there was one variable, that could change everything.
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting. It says, what does the location at which the dog was found tell us about when Nicola disappeared? And he said, as we know from many stories of loyal dogs staying with their owners when they have fallen ill or died, as a general rule, they won't go far. They will wait near the point where they last saw their owner. Experts in canine behaviour will be able to give an estimate of how reliable this information is. And then it says, I expect officers will conclude that Nicola disappeared near the bench where Willow was found, and Willow simply didn't see where she went, which is why she stayed in that spot. So you would think that if she was abducted, like we were mentioning, Willow would have barked and followed.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
So that does kind of indicate that maybe Willow wasn't looking if Nicola fell into the water and didn't see what happened. I feel like if it was an accident, she must have hit her head and become unconscious, because otherwise surely she would have been screaming and yelling for help. But she could swim as well. So I feel like she must have been knocked unconscious somehow if she did accidentally go into the water.
Yeah.
The other one is, could Nicola simply have walked out of the riverside around the bench by herself? Police have said there are only 3 paths covered by CCTV, but how good is that footage? Could she have slipped out unseen? And then he said the fact that Willow was there suggests it is reasonable to conclude she didn't leave the area, but how reliable is the actual evidence? So I'm assuming he means how reliable is the actual CCTV? Does it cover absolutely every entry and exit point? She could.
That's a good point where, like, if the dog wasn't on a leash, like the dog would have just followed her if she walked out and left, or if someone came and abducted her, the dog probably would have followed to an extent, or like the abductor murderer would have like put the dog back on the leash so he couldn't follow, or killed the dog or taken the dog.
Yeah, like just that the dog was in the same spot where everything was found. I do feel like that is a very good point. It indicates that maybe she didn't know where Nicola had gone. It's interesting. So at the time of recording, which is February 16th, Nicola is still missing. Paul has said Nikki would never give up on us ever. She wouldn't give up on anybody. We're not going to ever give up on her. We're going to find her. He said there has to be a way to find out what happened. There has to be. You cannot walk your dog down a river and just vanish into thin air. Something happened that day, something.
And it also gives more proof that it probably wasn't Paul, because the dog would know Paul and definitely want to follow him if he was the one to do something to her.
Yeah, you would think so. And he could have just taken, like, I feel like if it was Paul, it's a very convoluted way to go about this, you know.
Yeah.
There could have surely been an easier way. And it, like, especially if there was that 10-minute interval and that was it.
Yeah.
The family have made a statement about the alcohol statement that police released. They said, although that we know Nikki would not have wanted this, there are people out there threatening to sell stories about her. This is appalling and needs to stop. And they believed that the speculation has now led to the kind of investigation becoming distracted from finding her, and is just now about speculation and rumors into her private life.
Yeah.
So they have also, the family also now have released some more information about the health struggles that she was facing. It says, due to the perimenopause Nikki suffered with significant side effects such as brain fog, restless sleep, and she was taking hormone replacement therapy to help. This was giving her intense headaches. The headaches caused Nikki to stop taking it, thinking this may have helped her, but only ended up causing this crisis. The public focus has to be on finding her and not making up wild theories about her personal life.
It's nice that they released like a little more background, because I don't think that's like ruining her reputation if she is still out there. Like I feel like that's something
people would
probably
be,
a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, like would be sympathetic and empathetic towards her situation. You know, it sounds like she felt out of control in terms of her health and her hormones, I guess, essentially too. So I feel like it's not like she was violent or, you know, did anything wrong. She was just struggling.
Yeah. I think people just need to stop being so crazed online and like acting like they're going to solve the case. And that's coming from me, who is here on a true crime podcast. We have like a group about it, but I've said this before. We're not acting like unhinged maniacs, just like putting out rumors and just like harassing people. There's just like, it's not even like that fine of a line. Like it's one thing to talk about the case and talk about the facts and maybe talk about some of your thoughts, but then there's people who are just posting like crazy things, like harassing the family, like being awful.
The superintendent also made one other statement just to finish with, and she said that the police have been inundated with false information, accusation of rumors. She said in her 29 years of police work, she has not seen anything like it. So I don't know, like this case just has really seemed to, I don't know, explode.
They're like rabid, these people. They're like literally just rabid.
Yeah. And I think because the husband has been quite vocal, like he's done a lot of interviews, you know, a lot of media sessions and things like that, he's kind of put himself out there for scrutiny. And that's what people are doing, which, you know, right or wrong, I guess will be revealed as if she's ever found.
So yeah, if there's an update.
Now, why does she keep saying that Paul did a load of interviews? Paul did not do a load of interviews. Emma did a load of interviews. Paul did 2 interviews, sent 1 voice note to Sky News. So I'm not quite sure why she keeps saying that.
By the time this episode comes out, I'll put in a clip here.
Sadly, we are now able to confirm that yesterday we recovered Nicola Bulley from the River Wyre. Nicola's family have been informed and are, of course, devastated. Our thoughts are with them at this time.
So, of course, this is the infamous press conference where they just, you know, after all the interviews that they'd done between them, turn around and just sort of turned on the media that they'd done the interviews with.
As well as with all her loved ones and the wider community.
Nicola's family have asked that we release the following statement on their behalf as follows. Our family liaison officers have had to confirm our worst fears today. We will never be able to comprehend what Nikki had gone through in her last moments, and that will never leave us. We will never forget Nikki. How could we? She was the centre of our world. She was the one who made our lives so special, and nothing will cast a shadow over that. Our girls will get the support they need from the people who love them the most. And it saddens us to think that one day we will have to explain to them that the press and members of the public accuse their dad of wrongdoing, misquoted and vilified friends and family. This is absolutely appalling. They have to be held accountable. This cannot happen to another family. We tried last night to take in what we had been told in the day, only to have Sky News and ITV making contact with us directly when we expressly asked for privacy. It is shameful they have acted in this way. Leave us alone now. Finally, Nikki, you are no longer a missing person. You have been found. We can let you rest now. We love you, always have and always will. We will take it from here.
If not, then all this still stands. Maybe there'll be a couple more updates between now and when this comes out. Like, well, small stuff we'll post on our Instagram. So follow us there. Our Instagram's True Crime Society. We're always posting updates there, and we'll keep the blog updated as well at truecrimesocietyblog.com.
One thing too, just to add quickly before you finish off, I feel like this episode was a little bit different because we did talk about some more rumours. We tried to do it in a way that kind of addressed.
Oh, so this episode's different. They don't normally talk about rumours, but they did in this episode.
What was being said, but didn't put people on blast. And it's just out there. Like if you Google, this is what comes up when you talk about her. And we included the rumours that are kind of the most talked about. There's a bunch of others that we didn't include. So if you really want to go down the rabbit hole and have a look, you can. But I just wanted to address that because I know we try and stay away from, rumour mongering and scaremongering.
Oh no, they don't rumour monger or scaremonger, but they've done it all the way through this podcast. But never mind.
And things like that. But that's why we have addressed some of it in this episode.
Yeah, like I feel like it's fine to talk about it, and it's always hard for me to describe or try to make the point I'm trying to make. But some people online are just so toxic with this stuff.
Yeah,
and like see it as more entertainment and like it's a reality TV show. Whereas like I feel like you and I mostly try to just talk about the facts
and tell the story
because it's like it's something that we're like interested.
Oh yeah, they talk about the facts and they tell the story, and then at the end they tell you all the ways that you can contribute towards it. And which is fine. But anyway, I'm not going into that now. They're just going to now talk about. They're going to virtue signal. They're going to say how good they are. How they only talk about facts, but they've just spent an hour talking about facts. Well, a combination of facts and rumours. It's just irritating. But anyway, that's it. We won't share that anymore now. So it was interesting though. I enjoyed that podcast. I wish they hadn't come on and sort of, gone in to say that. They didn't have to say that. It was an interesting podcast. They were talking about things. They had interesting things to say. Some were talking about what rumours. Some were talking about facts. It was that's a podcast. It was interesting. So, they didn't have to, I know they didn't have to go on and, sort of slag off everybody else, but anyway, there you go. Now, yes, the lead was not attached to the harness, Rach. The lead was on Willow's collar. The extendable lead was attached to Willow's collar. It was not on the harness. Definitely not. Okay, so thank you. Look, I've gone off the camera while we've been doing that because I had to go out and go to the little girls' room at some point. So what I'm going to say to you now is thank you so much for being here. There's loads of you here. Loads of you here. Night, Jackie. Loads of people watching. Loads of you have been in and out. No, it was Rach. It was definitely attached to the collar. Hi, Coffee. We're all well, but I'm just finishing off now. So I was gonna, anyway, we'll talk about other podcasts. I've got loads of other podcasts for us to listen to together and see what interesting things different people say. Hi, Lisa from Australia. Oh, well, we were showing that podcast. You'll have to catch up on this now because I'm just finishing off now. But the podcast was, it was an American girl and an Australian girl. What I did like to hear was the different points of view. You know, that's always important. Thank you, Rach. Night, night. No, Julie, Anne-Marie, definitely. What she said was, yeah, the lead, because it was attached to the collar, it was attached to, I'm making the gesture now. Look, if I put my camera back on for a minute, sorry. The lead was attached to the dog's neck. That was what was making it. She tried to get the dog, they had another lead on it. She tried to get Willow to walk, and then Willow wouldn't walk, and she realized that the lead, the extendable lead, was attached to the collar. And when she realized that, she went with her. Woof. It's been interesting to hear a different angle. It's been interesting. My voice is completely going as usual, and we'll talk about it again another time. But that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for all being with me. Remember to always live and love carefully, wisely. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for you that are watching at home and maybe a little bit nervous to join in the chat. You know, just thank you for everybody. Night, night. And until I see you again, may you God go with you. Bye.